Well, this is a shocker. Student loans are making huge changes that are coming. If you are one of these people, of these 30 million Americans, you got to watch this video. And it is coming at a real bad time because elections are right around the corner, and the current president and the current administration is going to have a huge problem on their hand because 30 million people are going to be really pissed. So articles are coming out and saying huge changes for student loan repayment begins in 5 days for 30 million borrowers. And why is that such a problem? Well, because these changes are going to take effect September 30th, and the election is November 5th, so they should have made it a little longer. So, what is this article talking about? This article is talking about the end of 2019 COVID relief program. On September 30th, 2024, two major Biden administration student relief programs, including the On-Ramp initiative, will end. Missing payments no longer count towards forgiveness. Late fees and negative credit reporting returns. So, starting in October of 2024, borrowers who miss payments will face late fees, and missed payments will report to credit agencies. Default and collections resume. Borrowers missing enough payments after September 30th can enter default again, leading to potential wage garnishment, federal benefit seizures, and collective penalties. Repayment options available. Borrowers struggling with payments can explore IDR plans, deferments, and forbearance, but some plans, like new SAVE plans, are currently blocked by legal challenges. Okay, so really bad news for the current administration, but we all kind of knew that this was coming because you can't just keep kicking the can down the road. So, what does this mean? Well, in the grand scheme of things, 30 million borrowers are not paying or made little payments, and it didn't hurt the credit score. So, what did that do? Well, I looked at what the average payment is for these student loans, and it's about anywhere from a few $100s to $500. That's kind of where it is. That's where the average is, to like $300-400. And now these people have to start repaying that. And if you're looking at $300 times 30 millions, that is a lot of money. And most Americans, I know, and I'm making this assumption, you guys let me know, did not really invest that money into the stock market or something else. What they did was probably buy groceries, try to keep their lifestyle up. And now, what does that do? Well, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. $300 times 30 million, that is $9 billion per month. That is actually going to be missing from the economy each month. And if you're like, not everybody had that low of a high payment, well, then even if you take half, that is $4.5 billion. That is a lot of money. And now you're looking at business revenue decline because industries rely on that. And now you're like, well, that doesn't affect a few $100s. Yeah, it does. It does, because a few $100 on everybody, that everybody has less, on 30 million Americans, it's about 10%, is a lot of people. And now we're looking at increasing growth, right? So the overall reduction in consumer spending could slow down the broader economic. Consumer spending drives about 70% of GDP. And now we're looking at the GDP, and we're looking at people don't have the money to spend, so then they have to decrease that too. And what means that we're going to be in a recession. I'm saying it. And low demand for non-essentials. Spending on non-essential goods like luxury items, entertainment, dining out would likely be reduced, which could lead to price deflation in sectors as businesses compete for fewer customers willing to spend. And now it's bringing me up another idea on impact on saving and investment. Some people may not only cut back on spending, but reduce contribution to savings and retirement funds. And when you start making less contribution to your retirement fund, you're going to be more worried down the road. So this is a huge problem, a bigger problem for America than it's just one of these articles, right? Positive effects on debt markets. On the flip side, if people are using this money to pay off student loans, it could lead to a decrease in household debt levels, which may improve credit scores and financial stability for many individuals in the long run. And this is absolutely crazy. So let's check out this video of this woman that has an insane amount of debt.
Carol Diaz Lopez. I am 62 years old. I owe a whopping $382,000 for a doctoral degree, master's and bachelor's. My debt story is, I would say, pretty traumatic. I went to Argosy University, which, if you don't know, shut their doors abruptly in March of 2019. And I was in the midst of my internship for my doctoral program at that time. I had traveled across the country to do my internship at the VA, and everything was okay in the beginning, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out, and I went into panic over it because I didn't know what this was going to mean for me, as far as my degree, my prospects for employment, to be able to pay back my loan. I was assured, when I signed on the dotted line to go to school, that, oh, you're going to be in good shape. You're going for this degree. You're going to be great. You're going to have no problem. I believed what I was being told. Over the course of the years of my doctoral program, though, very many shady things were happening. I don't even know the half of it, honestly. But when EDMC, who owned Argosy, folded, we knew that things were pretty much in dire straits. An organization called Dream Center came in, riding up on their white horse, supposedly to save the day. And
Okay, so now let's look at some of these comments, because the comment section is always where people are super truthful and tell you how it is when it comes to that. And people are now saying so many worthless degrees out there, people need to wise up. Student loans are just scary. We need to start educating students with just courses in how to borrow the money starting in 8th grade. And he was saying, I'm confused. One shouldn't seek another degree without paying for the first one. Well, another person is 132,000 from debt from school, struggling so much, down to eating once a day. And somebody else said, I'm 52, over 100K still in student's loan. And so this is a broader problem. And when I looked this up, universities don't pay taxes. And now we keep talking about student loan forgiveness, and all this other stuff. And I think we need to nip it in the bud at the root cause. We don't need to just if you have pain in the arm, but you don't have but your arm's broken, you don't just prescribe, you don't just prescribe painkillers. No, you fix the broken arm. You do surgery and you fix it. But nobody's willing to do that because the economy of these universities is too big. And instead of saying, hey, you can't pay your loans back, let's look at which university you went to and how much it is. And then you start seeing, okay, there's a few universities out there that have costed these people such tremendous pain. And then you should say, you are not eligible to give out student loans anymore because you cannot handle it. And now there's two sides to the story. There's one that these students should educate themselves and say, you're going to actually make that much money and you shouldn't take out that loan. And then there's the college that markets it to people and says, you can make this much. And when you get a degree, it's really interesting because I have a general psychology degree, but I'm not in the field. I'm in the field of marketing. So similar, but not 100% in the field. And now you're looking at it like, is it worth to get a degree where you're in college or not, if you're going to go to college? And the question I'm always being asked, is it worth going? And now I'm looking at it, you need to see how much that degree is going to bring. So if you're going to be a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, one of these degrees, or an engineer that needs to pass boards and all these kind of things, there's not a lot of way around it. But if you want to go be in cosmetology or something else that doesn't require you to have a degree, and I don't know each state, some states might require you to have an AA or something like it, then go do that. But if you want to do that, you do not need to go to the most prestigious university that's going to cost you $100,000 for that 1 year, because that 1 year making 100 grand is going to really, really, really um, defer your lifestyle down the road. So you basically robbed from your own future and you played a game on yourself. So when you go into it, you really need to think about how much you're going to get paid, how hard is it to get a field. And if you're going to say, I'm going to get a history PhD, and then you're going to, or a fine arts major or something like that, where you are going to work for Pixar's drawing stuff with the AI revolution and all this other stuff where AI can draw and do all these other things. Is it worth spending 100 plus $200,000? And I would say no. But if you can get a PhD for $60,000-$70,000 and you're going to make $60,000-$70,000 afterwards, it's probably worth it if that's what your passion is and what you're good at. But unless you're going to make that much money, what you have your loan for, it was a good investment. And if you can make that, then you're fine. But a lot of people, and I'm seeing this in these videos, cannot, and they're blaming the government. They got to blame themselves also. And it's super easy to say, I was sold a false dream. Well, every carsman sells you a false dream too. They'll tell you, this car, never been off-roaded. This car, best one in the market. And then you find out later on that, hey, they didn't do none of that. And it is an absolute lie. So marketing is perception. I remember once when I bought a car from CarMax, they say, oh, we have 162-point inspection and trust us and do all that. Then I hear a noise in the engine compartment and I look in and I can't find the picture anymore, but there was a wrench stuck on a cooling hose. And I brought it back because they have the 30-day money back or something like it. And I said, how do you not know this? Well, I can't give you any information on that. And I was like, so why are you claiming to make this 160-point inspection when you still have like one of these wrenches clamped on a cooling hose? I don't get it. And I'm gonna look at home if I still have the picture. But yeah, I'm like, this is a $4,000 mile car, not $4,000. I think I paid 20 for it. And then they're like, oh, we just take it back and we're so sorry. I don't know how that happened. I know exactly how that happened. You took it in, you said, oh, it's still on the warranty, so let's just throw it on the lot and not worry about it. And these people at universities just say, hey, you can make up to $200,000, $300,000 with this degree. And they market it with the 1% point, with the 1%. That is almost like, hey, 99% of day traders lose money, but that 1% makes a lot. So that skews the average, and that probably says that, hey, you as a day trader can make a lot of money. And if you're in the industry, you know what you're doing, you can probably make a lot of money. But for me, as an average American, probably not so much. And I'm definitely not going to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a course on how to day trade with somebody, and then they're going to give me their insider information. That is just no ROI that I would ever do. And now you're like, oh man, we are in trouble. And when we're looking at it, it's like elections right around the corner, and student loan is going to be back up. Student loans are going to fire back up, and they're going to ruin people's credit scores. And now I was looking at it like, do these people need to repay those student loans if they're unemployed? And if you have a federal student loans, you can actually pause them while you're unemployed. And I said, oh, that is nice. They actually let you deposit, and they'll actually let you pause the student loans. And I said, oh, that is really sweet. comes to find out that they're not doing you a favor, they want you to be unemployed. Because guess what happens when you're unemployed with those student loans? Well, they still accrue interest. So while you're not making payments, your balance goes up and up and up. So it is in their best interest for you to actually be unemployed for a few months, 6 months, or even a year, because that balance sheets keep rises, and then because of interest, and you didn't have to make bigger payments. And so while you were on the job hunt for 6 months, your student loan balance just went up by a certain percentage. That means that you're going to be working longer to pay that off. And I don't know how much longer, depending on how much you're going to pay, how much you're going to make afterwards. But the US government never loses. I just came to that conclusion that the government always gets their money, and they always, always, always find a way how to get you to pay. Now, there's certain exemptions where they kick the can down the road, they kind of figure stuff out, but now they're coming after you because they need their money. And you took out the loans, you signed on that dotted line, and now you're on the hook. And it's really sad when you're in your 60s and 50s and still deal with student loans. Because when you're in that situation, you should be able to buy cars, buy investment properties, buy into the stock market, and start investing that money. So once you're 65 and you're starting to get really tired from working, and you might have medical issues in your 70s, and you're like, I can't work, that student loan amount isn't going to keep rising, because you're not going to make it. And then the last thing you can do is basically hope for help from the government. And that is according to my opinion, that is the scariest spot to be in. That you're like, I'm worried about my student loans, and I need the government to help. Whenever you hear those words, even Reagan said it. If you are in a spot like that, you are in trouble. And I'm here in Lone Mountain Park, and what is really, really, really interesting, let's see. So I'm here in Lone Mountain Park. It's gorgeous out. It is absolutely gorgeous. But every time I'm at Lone Mountain Park, I get the true information on how the US economy truly is. They're portraying a car like this, and in actuality, it's a lot different. And I had it in my other video, and since then, it got even worse. So let's check it out. So, weather stripping's lost. They stole the windshield wipers. Looks a lot worse now than it did last time. They broke into the windows. Now it's just flat tire. They cracked the trunk. They stole stuff from from the inside. Somebody took a bite out of the steering wheel. And yeah, this is how the US economy is rolling. And trunk, the somebody, I don't know what they did, stood on it, did crazy stuff to it, weather stripping ripped off, dents that weren't here. And this is what they've been telling us is a great economy. So this is it for this video. Like it, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.